Last time we covered the clarifications, role of Abhyasi part 2 till this acceptance. Then today we'll start with here, will. The word hope leaves a sense of doubt. Instead, we can pray that Abhyasis become more regular in their sadhana. In spirituality, will is most important for achieving the task. It is one thing to pray, it is another to will. Wishes do not find place in spirituality. Be sure you feel and it is not a wish. Pious intentions are different from firm resolutions. The sankalp by itself may be for the mergence of all in Brahma. But how strong it is? Is it backed by the purity of consciousness that should be there? Just one question on this second one, right? Be sure you feel and it is not a wish. Just trying to understand what is he trying to say.
My understanding is that as per Revere Master, wish is a different and like will is that you are putting your sankalpa behind that one, and that means you are wishing that you are willing that everybody follow the path and everybody move towards Master. Wish is just may God bless you, kind of that may aspect is kind of wish, and God bless you is will, actually, like, so that is the thing, I guess. That's what Master is trying to say, to put our will to sankalpa aspect, rather than saying may, just it is we are putting that will. That's the understanding I have. I think Pujya Narayana sir also gave one elaboration in 9 o'clock prayer while explaining about 9 o'clock prayer. So he insisted on that may is something related to a wish, and will is directly. All are developing to love, devotion, faith towards Master. That is what we will in 9 o'clock prayer. So that is our will. And that's, sorry, brother, go on, please. Again.
The difference there is like when you will, there is a feeling of flow or feeling of that thing happening. In case of wishes, there is no feeling involved.
Yeah.
So will sort of, there is a feeling of confidence, there is a feeling of something that it is devoid of doubt. So you will feel the purity of thought or the confidence behind that thought, and that distinguishes it from the wish.
Yeah, there is a determination in will.
Yeah, right, sir. Determination, correct.
So that it should happen. It will happen.
Okay, good. So we'll go ahead. Reactions to stress situations. Our reactions to stress situations are classified in the modern schools of psychology as panic, inertia, striving, coping, and mastery. Inertia is the response from persons who are governed by the consciousness at physical level, whose first response is the one of apathy, and panic is the response when they are compelled to act. Panic is the response from persons governed by the vital consciousness. That is the case with majority of human beings. However, when the panic is overwhelming, many resort to inertia, giving up effort, and take recourse to inertia, which is sophistically called resigned, vairagya of a kind. This is what happens in the cases of persons who say that they have surrendered to the master. However, majority of individuals recover from this panic and inertia and learn to confront the problem that is called striving. Even here, the individual is only at the vital level. When a person tries to use his mental level, he gets into the state of striving. The consciousness is more or less engaged in a blind struggle, a groping towards ill-pursued and ever-eluding goals. Because of this, the individual's internal state is characterized by feelings of uncertainty, insecurity, conflict, anxiety, and tension. When a person moves to the state of coping by ushering reason and exercise of mental will in the governance of life, a sense of direction, inner ease, security, and confidence arises. Mastery is what is possible when one meets the challenges of life with a sense of purpose and with poise and serenity. Anyone wants to add anything here? We'll go ahead. Yatra. Yatra in each knot means we have to develop the positive qualities and get rid of the negative qualities. These things are achieved more by constant remembrance of the Master and contemplating on his perfect nature. Manana and Shravana are not excluded in our system. Master's voice has to reverberate in our being and all the pores filled by him. Owning up of condition. Owning up of the condition would always mean the spiritual condition that is had during the meditation with all the feelings and thoughts that are superior and belong to higher realms. Please try to note the thoughts of higher level that you have and then try to own them through manana, recalling, and nididhyasana, contemplation. Attending to various knots in the Pindadesh really means attending to owning up the conditions of those knots. The elements have a strong hold over us. The physical and vital spheres, which were very broadly covered in knots 1 and 2, require constant efforts to come to their real nature. Their influence cannot be eradicated, and one has only to regulate and move towards perfection. There are no other spheres except physical and vital that require constant attention. The aspirant, if he moves to the stage of U in the heart from L, will have the desire to move further with the help of Pranahuti, which is offered by a fellow Abhyasi called a trainer. It does not come from the Akasha or from somewhere from the blues. The conception has to be understood fully. These knots relate to the Muladhara and Swadhisthana chakras and cover the bestial and emotional aberrations in the human also. In our method, the master brings again because we have come that path downwards, into action the dormant emotional conditions with the help of transmission and bliss, subtleness. This is done to such an extent that in the teaching process of our order, the masters make it start from intense spiritual intoxication, just as master calls it. And after getting all the aspects of it completed, the disciple is brought to the sulok, spirituality, and after completing all the stages of sulok in all the knots, the ultimate suluk is taken up. This is the method, and one who practices the process of owning up the conditions alone understands it. So far as I am concerned, it is not a matter of intellectual understanding, even to know the method. Clarifications on owning up of condition. Question. I understand that any condition can be owned by only constant remembrance. But because of my work pressure and busy family life, I am not able to do that. Answer. It is not just constant remembrance of the master, it is remembrance of the condition that is blessed by him that enables us to own the condition. We'll take a pause here. Anything to add? Any questions? Share anything on the owning up the conditions? Okay, we'll go ahead. Feeling the presence of the master. When we think of the master and the yielding attitude is there, it is a common experience that we feel the vibrations or otherwise a peaceful condition descending to us. So that is what is your experience. Now that you have had enough experience of the assurance from the master by way of his presence, a few thoughts on the awareness of the presence of the master and the practical way that I have adopted with unfailing success are furnished hereunder. When we concentrate on anything, we can also get it before us as a vision, either during waking state or during meditation. This happens in the cases where one concentrates on the master or gods and goddesses. 2. The visions seen in the dreams are of a different category and do not fall under concentration. 3. But it is a fact that masters and gods and goddesses also bless the aspirants by their presence. 4. How to differentiate between the items 1 and 3 and be sure of the actual presence of the master and that it is not due to one's concentration. The following are very important points to note. In case of 3, actual arrival of the master, the mind will feel that the connection to the master will acquire force. In case of 1, which is due to mental construction of the form, etc., due to concentration, the connection to the master will not have the force associated with. These two states can be understood if one is blessed with the master's actual presence and observed carefully through feelings in the heart. When the master is really before us, pure sincerity in the heart will be observed, and this will have nothing to do with one's spiritual aspirations, etc. No expectancy will be there. We'll just be waiting on him with sincerity. There will also be lightness felt in the heart automatically due to the flow. One will feel nothing of this sort in the case of mental structuring, that is artificial. Question. I am not making any specific efforts because by default, almost always my mind goes to some thoughts on master. Please do try consciously to feel the presence of the master and in the heart, and you always get necessary guidance. Useful points on feeling the presence of the masters, along with the clarification between the difference between concentration and the actual presence of the master. sensitivity. Our sensitivity increases along with our dedication and love to the master. Another important factor is purity has to be increased in us day by day, so that sensitivity peaks up and we get understanding of the rewards from the master. So that covers the clarifications, role of Abhyasi part 2. Any questions, anything to be added here?
One small question, probably. I would like to know what exactly is the meaning of sensitivity in this context for us. Actually, like sensitivity towards the calmness that we feel, or how exactly we can contemplate on that sensitivity path to understand more on that sensitivity.
The way I understand, sensitivity is not specific to like you're saying calmness or something, right? Sensitivity will be like you are sensitive to everything. So let's say we initially we might be sensitive to any sensations that happen in the body. As we get accustomed to knowing our feelings, we will be sensitive to knowing the feelings, and at the same time we'll also be able to describe. Like once sir was explaining me, he was telling me that I'm not writing the diary properly. What he was explaining is that gulab jambu is also sweet and rasgulla is also sweet, but there is a difference between the two, and that is what you should be able to express. But when I look at it, right, but I should be sensitive to know that difference. I will know the difference, and then to have that expression will be the next step. But the first thing is to know the difference, right? We say that there is a calmness, we say there is a silence. Along with that, what is the feeling related to the master? And as you progress, you will be sensitive to the things in the environment, the disturbances in the environment, or the peace and calmness that is prevailing in the environment. Or even when you are meeting other person, right, you will be sensitive to the vibrations of that person. So that is how I'm looking at it when he says that sensitivity peaks up and we get understanding of the rewards from master.
As you said, the sensitivity is to know the difference between various feelings and what you have got. To give a crude example, if you are eating a sweets, to know the difference between a jalebi and kaja, both are sweets, but you know it is when you close your eyes and eat, you know what it is. So that is the sensitivity. Okay, for that you need to keep your senses or your feelings pure and wait for the sensation.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
I think an insert said that you need to keep your feelings pure, right? Here he says, right, the purity. So when we are sensitive, we should be, when we are more pure, it will not be biased with our assumptions or our prejudices. The more and more pure we become, it will be sensitive to the things as it is.
There are people who taste coffee and qualify it. Coffee testers. So they're different types of coffee. They taste and tell this is the type, this type, and this is the quality is good, this quality is not there, and they'll be able to tell. For that, they need to keep their taste buds very pure and sensitive. So after tasting one type of coffee, they wash their mouth with water and plain water and clean it, and then again taste the other one. Then only they will be able to see the difference between the two types of the coffees. So that type of purity should have in our heart. As brother says, you should not prejudice. You should not color your feelings with your own prejudices and observe the other fellow. If you observe without any of your prejudices, then you will be able to sense what the other person is feeling. You can immediately sense, okay, this fellow is angry, this fellow is not happy, this fellow is not feeling comfortable with us, or is feeling disturbed. All these things you will be able to know immediately by looking at a person. So that is the sensitivity. So that applies to the conditions which you get during the meditation as well. This is the feeling of calmness, this is the feeling of happiness, this is the feeling of joy. You will be able to sense them. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thanks.
So we'll go ahead.
Yeah, yes.
Levels of consciousness. The conception of human consciousness capable of being explained by the three levels of Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. We may use any terminology we like as Daivi, Manushi, and Asuric, etc. Really does not work in actual sadhana. I have found at least 10 shades in our consciousness, which I prefer to put it as levels of our being. The levels below the human are as follows. 1. Human level. When we feel that we should firmly uphold the 5 precepts of non-injury, non-killing, non-stealing, non-lying, non-sexual misconduct, and not taking intoxicants are in human plane. That we are not always successful in doing so is the awareness which propels us further in sadhana. Asuric level. When we cultivate the qualities mentioned for the human level and do good karma, but constantly harbor the attitude of competitiveness and anger and arrogance, we tend to be asuras. Awareness of this folly alone can lift us up and take to sadhana seriously. When we fail to do so, we live in asuric level only. So that is attitude of competitiveness, anger, and arrogance. Pisach level, that is third one. When we indulge in selfish craving, feeding ourselves by deceiving the group, we are only in the Pisach level. We should remind ourselves of the true level to which we are entitled, at least the human level, so that we come out of this. This is the level to which most of our gurus belong, however horrid it is to think so. Fourth, animal level. When our actions are out of ignorance, stupidity, error, and evil, we are in the animal plane. And it is necessary that we should take to Manana and Shravana to lift us out of this level. Company of masters is an excellent method, provided we have also the wisdom to know the greatness of the master. Fifth, hell level. When we disrupt or slander the master, good souls, and commit evil acts, we live in the hell. This level makes us feel the giddiness, utter restlessness, and a feeling of reeling, etc. because this is totally against the order of nature, and we should attend to cleaning thoroughly and also pray with a feeling of repentance and also resolve without any conditions not to repeat such acts. Once the insult is done to the master, it is really difficult to come out of it, and only after sufficient suffering we can lift ourselves to the higher plane, that is the human. We'll take a pause here. Let's go ahead. The realms above the human level are 1. Deva level. When we cultivate the 5 precepts of the human levels and also are devoid of greed, anger, gossip, slander, and delusion, we enter the realm of gods or devas. That is, we are granted work by the master for his purposes as he deems fit. 2. Brahman level. When we are devoid of fear of death and birth and desire to get liberated and do so, we are residents of Brahman. Higher approach becomes possible only when the aspiration of realization gains a strong hold on the consciousness. 3. Parabrahman level. When we know the causal condition of all phenomena and enjoy solitude and think stillness is the best, we are residents of Parabrahman. Higher approach becomes possible only when we learn to yield to the will of the master in all respects. 4. Prapanna level. When we have learned by practice that 1. By giving we transcend the stinginess and craving. 2. By upholding discipline we transcend destructiveness and sin. 3. By patient forbearance we transcend anger. 4. By energetic sadhana we transcend laziness and sloth. 5. By meditative concentration on master we transcend scattering and oblivion. 6. By wisdom we transcend ignorance. When we are established in this realm, we are ever devoted to master and are potential masters. That was Prapanna level. 5th, realized level. When we know that all sentient beings have the nature of the master and the true thusness is everywhere equal, and know and act as if all sentient beings are sharing a single essence, and when we know that everyone is a master who is willed, and when we work incessantly for the salvation of all the time, we have realized our potentiality and are what master calls real man. So 5 levels below the human level, and these are the 5 levels above the human level. Anything to add, sir? Let's go ahead. The dynamic interplay of the various levels of consciousness is an amusing play several times and yet very agonizing many times. The total yielding to the master is the only way out, and how we go about it is the individual's concern. It is true that many sages and saints of the past had their sway over our consciousness, and we carry with us those samskaras. As Master puts it, the impressions created on us by the great saints are the toughest of the grossness we have to tackle with. Purity. It is necessary to be more attentive to his calls as we advance more and more in spiritual life. The new era of spirituality is based on the system of pranahuti, and it is nothing but having a hold on the pranasya pranaha, which is the universal prana enjoyed by all beings, and offering the same to all according to the need. The more we stabilize in the Brahman, the more the hold over the capacity for pranahuti. The system naturally depends on our purity in thought, word, and deed. The ultimate union is something that is only to be hoped for, as that is possible only after physical veiling. Please watch yourself always and maintain the purity that is expressly needed for the purpose of onward march, which is had only through his pull. U and L. The study of the flow of consciousness from L to U in the heart is not dependent on our suggesting any flow. All thoughts in general for any person naturally tends to flow to the lower portion of the heart. This L portion is the region which supplies power to the physical and vital parts of our system. This flow has to be naturally shifted by the aspirant to the U portion, which represents, in a sense, the Rishi consciousness. Please do read Efficacy of Raj Yoga carefully. Master calls this the landing place of the Rishis. If the Abhyasi is regular in sadhana, and if the trainer exerts to cleanse him, such a diversion of flow is observed. Nature of knots. Every knot has its own original condition, and that is not the ultimate condition as many persons think. I can only guide persons in the line in which I am guided, and my effort has been only to clarify what Master has stated in his manual, as also his works. The various conditions of the knots were clearly mentioned in the books of the Master, and to some extent, I tried to clarify them in my commentary. If at each center or knot the ultimate were to prevail, that is void, then the question of nature of knots itself does not arise. Various states in the Vairagya and Viveka have to come to a state of moderation. The aberrations of these states are well known to tradition and they are extolled. But the moderation we have to arrive at it is possible only in this system. The same applies to the states of consciousness relating to devotion and surrender. Volumes may have to be written if one tries to explain further. Suffice to say that continuous cleaning of these knots is meant only for the sake to finally summarize all these conditions when the expansion is through the mind region. Access to central region is possible only when these are summarized as revered Babuji puts it in the book Towards Infinity. I am afraid any amount of clarification will not help in the matter, and only when the conditions of layavastha of the knots are fully grasped, not intellectually. I am not able to understand the word mergence in the base. This is possible only when the conditions of the knots are in their original nature. A horse will be a horse, and an elephant would be an elephant, and they never become base. kindly also appreciate the statements of Lord Krishna that he is the Himalayas among mountains and Arjuna among men, etc. Perhaps that would clarify some parts, if at all. Unless we initiate the value of our existence, as revered Babuji puts it, entry to central region is out of question. Let's go ahead. First knot. I shall comment on the nature of the first knot first. This relates to the knowledge relating to the Asat and Sat. It is all discussed enough in the Vedantic tradition, but any amount of intellectual knowledge does not lead us to acceptance of the Sat as against the Asat. Unless the knowledge seeps into us, this is not possible. On this is based entire Vairagya. The characteristic of peace has nothing to do with the ultimate bliss. It is peace that is gained by us when we are able to develop detachment or detachment. Restlessness will be there, and at the same time, settled condition which we may experience as peace of a kind is also there. In spiritual life, we understand many types of peace. This is the base of all. This settledness in the awareness and need to detach ourselves from the worldly and transient lies in the foundations of the spiritual life. Naturally, the concepts of divine presence and peace, as is explained in books, has no relevance here. The experience of seeing colors, in this case yellow, is only an indication of the arousal of this knot. That it is not bright or tainted with red or orange does not matter. The subtleness experience as calmness. This calmness has nothing to do with nothingness as such. The idea of merging in the condition of the knot in the real and hence to the ultimate is not clear to me. The knot comes to its original condition. Here, original condition of the knot alone is in question, and it has nothing to do with the ultimate. Okay. So that covers this levels of consciousness. Questions, anything to add? So Ravi, just like we were discussing earlier, right? He describes the characteristics of peace has nothing to do with ultimate bliss. So the distinction between peace and the ultimate bliss. And similarly, there are many other things that he is describing, the settled condition, the difference between that and peace, and so on.
Yeah.
Next week, then we can start with stages on the path. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see you next week.